Hey, what's going on? Hello, YouTube. Hello, everybody. In general, we're gonna discuss some. Well, we're a little behind when it comes to the wrestling discussions. We're gonna try to compile a couple, probably about 2 weeks worth of wrestling talk into one little video. Try to not labor on too long about certain things. And we're going to discuss Fallout along with like the shows that have happened within the last couple weekends and kind of just see where the wrestling scene's at and kind of get our thoughts, and I'll get my feelings out. And if you guys have opinions or thoughts on your own, feel free to post them here on the channel. Also, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube, would love to have you subscribe. Um, but so we're gonna start talking about Crown Jewel. That was not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago. Um, and we're gonna discuss some Fallout. Since it's been a week or two since Crown Jewel. Um, so overall, this show was okay. Um, not definitely better than WrestlePalooza. I'll give it that. The Roman Reigns Bronson Reed match was was a pretty fun match. Although I did expect uh, a lot of chaos ensuing because it is an Australian street fight. At least that's what they tooted it as. But yeah, it was like I said, we got the Bleacher Report up. Just so you know, we're gonna have the Bleacher Report up for all the shows that we're going over. But anyways, and I'm also using it to help remind me of certain things that happened on on the show, because like I said, I watched this like 2 weeks ago, whenever it was on. Um, but either way, while it was a fun opener, but kind of predictable. It was good to see Reigns eating the pin for Bronson Reed to help elevate him. Um, I think they're doing lovely things with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed right now, and I want to see more of that. And we're gonna get to more of that here in a bit. But yeah, just this was a fun match, and of course teasing more like pent up annoyance between Usos and Roman. I thought it was a solid storytelling display. So let's, like I said, let's move on. Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vakir for the Women's Crown Jewel Championships. I'm gonna overall just flat out tell you, I think the Crown Jewel Championships are pointless. I they are. I just don't understand the whole need to feel to have not only the a belt that is twice the size of any heavyweight title, but you gotta also give them a ring as well. Like, isn't the title enough? I maybe they just don't get a replica of the title. Like, they only have one of each of these. So like the ring is kind of maybe the make do for them not being able to take the title home with them. Maybe, I don't know. So I don't know if they take the title home or not, but at least they get a ring, and the ring is massive. Um, it puts the ring that MJF wears for AEW to shame. That's how big it is. But yeah, I honestly don't have much to say about this match because this match really wasn't much of a match. If you had to describe it, it was basically Stratton basically being an it was an elaborate squash match in a sense. Like Stratton got a little offense in, but like it just basically was just a means to show the dominance of Stephanie Vakir, and Oh my god, Triple H couldn't stop hugging the woman after the match. Just like every time he was like wanting to celebrate something or give her something, he hugged her. It's like Triple H can't get enough fucking Stephanie in his life. Christ's sakes. Like, let the girl breathe. um, anywho, John Cena, AJ Styles. I know a lot of people raved and said this match was awesome. This wasn't the match I wanted. The match I wanted was the TNA guy versus the WWE guy, and I wanted them to prove in a very like competitive contest who was better. I did not want um a what's basically they showed me a circus performance of every finishing move that they encountered in their career. Like it was like a montage of finishers, which was, obviously they're trying, Cena's been doing it. I guess Styles decided to chime in on it. Been doing like nods to like people that they wrestled in the past and were doing finishers of those people that they have encountered, and eventually it just got very ridiculous in how they were presenting it, and that wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want a simple exhibition, montage. I wanted them to have the kind of the right, like renew the rivalry that they had back then, and just kind of prove that, just to see who the best man was, who the best man really is. That's what I wanted, and we didn't get that. It was, the crowd loved it, and there was a lot of other people that loved it too. But for me personally, did not really do much for me. Like it was fine, but if you're gonna do a match like this, it can't be 30 minutes. It overstayed its welcome. I couldn't wait for it to end. Um, let's yeah. So the list of finishers: Cena did the Miz's skull crushing finale. Styles hit Sting's Scorpion Death Drop. Cena did Rusev's accolade. Sorry, I got like stupid. I got a lot of moth flies like fucking annoyingly flying around in this household. It's so annoying. But anyways, Styles used the Kikina clutch. Um, Cena uses the Wall of Jericho and Sister Abigail. Styles does the Angel's Wings. Cena hits the RKO and rope hung DDT. Styles uses Cena's own AA. Styles hits Frankie Kazarian's Fade to Black. Cena uses the Undertaker's choke slam. Styles does sweet chin music. Cena hits a tombstone. Like it was just like back and forth of all this, and I just, like I said, at the end of the day, it just is like creating. It's like me and my buddy creating two career wrestlers, and this was even said on commentary. But yeah, it was exactly like this. It was like me and my buddy creating career wrestlers on the latest WWE 2K game, both putting everyone's finishers as in our move set, and just fucking around for a half hour. And then we put it down and move on with our lives because we got the most that we wanted out of the game by doing that. Like this match exhausted me to that in that extent, and it was just not even a good exhaustion. It was not like I was actually ready for it to move on. Um, Kabuki Warriors against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Um, kind of figured Sky and Ripley were gonna go over here, but yeah, I've been loving the dynamic with the Kabuki Warriors. I see real big things for Kairi Sane here coming up. The way they've been pushing and doing great things with trying to make Asuka this really bitchy heel, and obviously Rhea Ripley and EO in the mix of it, just, and of course anything gets enhanced with Rhea involved. So um yeah, so this was very enjoyable. Um And they're trying to keep Rhea Ripley busy because they don't want Rhea Ripley in the title picture anytime soon, because the second she's in the title picture, they're going to have to put the title on her. Because if she's not dominant, she has to be dominant in everything she does. So if she is not dominant, then her star power drops, and it will drop dramatically. So they have to ensure that whatever she's doing, she is being dominant. So that if if she's not in the title picture, she could be dominant doing other things and not have to worry about. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can how to book her and keep her protected while she's in the title picture. You just keep her out of it with personal things. But like I said, they've been building this up for a while now. Io Sky, and I'm really curious to see the Io Sky Asuka blow off. I kind of see this being a 3-way between all three of them, like maybe at WrestleMania. That's why I kind of want to see the 3-way blow off, and then Kairi Sane getting the win. Like, I would love to see Kairi Sane get the win. She's been so good in this like this story that they've been telling. And then we got the Cody Rhodes Seth Rollins match, and we're gonna kind of deep dive into this for a bit. The match itself was, there doesn't need to be much said. There's a lot of history there between these two. This was probably the match I was looking forward to. It was the other match I was looking forward to. I didn't get what I wanted out of AJ and Cena, so this match had to give me what I wanted, and it did. Unfortunately, Rollins fucked up his shoulder, his rotator cuff, doing an absurd coast to coast that he didn't need to do. Like, he did a coast to coast headbutt to Cody Rhodes. There was no need for that. Absolutely no need for that. Like, why he felt the need to do that. I get the point. Sometimes you have to do risky things to take on an opponent that's so like at your level, and you feel you can't beat them. But like, not at the expense of like exposing yourself with the injury and then doing so. I get wrestlers get injured all the time, but like, this was an unnecessary risk, is what I'm trying to say. Very unnecessary. Now they're having to fast track certain things, which may not be the worst. May not be the worst thing, because sometimes I feel some of the Triple H programming needs to be fast tracked. And in all this, like, they've already been planting the seeds of Seth and Heyman kind of not agreeing, they're not complying with each other, not in agreement. And Heyman has basically been telling the Bronze, hey, you need to start listening to me. And, Seth's going to lead you astray. You need to listen to me. So, like, they were already planting the seeds to get rid of Seth out of the group. And come Raw the next Monday, that's what they do, and they get rid of Seth, which has been, with him hurting himself, they had to fast track it. So now we're in a situation where this past Monday, they just vacated the title. It's going to be CM Punk versus Jey Uso, who just won a Battle Royale to be CM Punk's opponent. CM Punk winning being the number one contender already. And he needed another number one contender, basically. And oh my God, people shit all over the idea that Jey Uso is the person going against Punk. Like, I can't believe how much Jey Uso's stock has dropped in the last several months. Like, for someone at before the beginning of the year was like super hot and super over, to now people just don't even want to see him in the ring. Funny, people still want to do his entrance. But he's become the ultimate. He's the modern day Ultimate Warrior. He gets, he has a cool entrance. He gets blown up by the time he's in the ring. He doesn't look great in the ring, and sometimes isn't very careful, and he hurts himself or his opponents. And now people are starting to see past the smoke in the mirrors, and they're realizing that Jey Uso is not a lot of, just really not what they expected, or he has not reached that level of that people were wanting. Like he's lost the audience. Like he is losing the audience. Like the kids still love him, and you know, people who are not super following the product, sure, but like I just don't feel he's got the following that he had around this time last year. And it's like I feel he needs to just go heel. He just fully needs to go heel. Maybe that involves him winning the title. Me and friends of mine were running hypotheticals, and yeah, hypotheticals that he beat CM Punk here for the title, for the world title, and goes heel. And maybe it's him and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, or at Royal Rumble, or it would have been nice to get LA Knight in the picture, because I mean he's been kind of in the mix, but then it's like he's kind of like the in between guy, and they don't fully like capitalize on LA Knight, which is super annoying, because like it's funny because like Jey Uso got hot and got himself over, but then like he lost steam and a lot of steam. LA Knight has consistently kept himself over, and they have done nothing to reward him. Like they have not gotten on this like at all, gotten on this bandwagon, other than giving him like a US title run here and there. It's like, let the man be your world champion. Like maybe they're afraid of doing like you could maybe the argument is they're afraid of doing the LA Knight what they did with Jey Uso, and they saw what happened with Jey Uso, and they're afraid it's going to happen to LA Knight as well. I don't know. Give him one short title run. Just it doesn't even need to be long. Just give him a short title run, and let's see if he could be the man. But yeah, they're doing all sorts of interesting things in general with the upcoming Saturday night main event. Who like I'm trying to remember. Like I'm trying to remember all the Raw highlights. Yeah, Cody is defending his title against um he's defending his title against Drew McIntyre. That's right. So they're having to pivot with that because of the Jacob Fatu injury, which is unfortunate that Jacob Fatu is um unavailable right now. So I don't know how long he's gonna be hurt, but like it's it just annoys me. Drew McIntyre's another one of those talents that I wish they would do more with, and do a long term like title program with, and they just won't. They keep sticking him in there as someone that they know they can plug in to buy them a few months, and then like they can move on. They never want to do something like really concrete with him. Um, but I'm hoping maybe eventually they just get some balls and they decide to roll with Drew McIntyre. because it would be great. I'm trying to see what the card is. We know this. We know CM Punk's taking on Jey Uso, but like I don't know the rest of the card. I don't think they have the rest of the card figured out yet because it is November 1st that they're doing the Saturday Night Main Event. Um, but yeah, hopefully we'll see something that's um that will provide us with some resolution. I know some people are wanting to see Braun Breaker like just like be the champ or like they do something to like instill him as the champion. I think him walking around with the title right now is great and basically saying, you know, you want the title, get it off me, you know, that sort of thing. I think that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it's honestly Braun Breaker's my winning bet for the Royal Rumble right now, and winning the title at WrestleMania. That's what I see happening. Um, as far as the other things that have been going on in WWE, like I love what they're doing with Dominic Mysterio. Um, he's just honestly Dom is on a whole other level. I'm hoping eventually they're just finally gonna break up the Judgment Day, and we get Happy Finn back afterwards, or at least like just like a better version of Finn in general. Like, what else? I wonder what they're gonna do with Aleister Black now that he's done with Damian Priest. That was a pretty cool match that I saw the other week, which um the uh the Street Fighter whatever that was. It was pretty badass. Um, but anywho, yeah. So I don't want to spend too much more time just talking about WWE because we got two other brands to talk about here. Um, because I think with NXT, I will talk with NXT about alongside my TNA discussion here. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. No Seth Rollins in the future, and um, we just got to see what they plan on, where they're going to pivot to, and how they're going to do it. Um, I might do a vid based on some Saturday Night Main Event, but I know there's a NXT pay per view coming up, so we might have a discussion prior to that. I don't know. It might be one of those things where I might hold off um the NXT Halloween Havoc and save that with the Saturday Night Main Event and do it all in one bid. But yeah, I'll figure that out as we go. But overall, Crown Jewel wasn't that bad, but it wasn't like it was. It was better than WrestlePalooza, but that wasn't that low. That wasn't that high of a bar. Yeah. So let's move on. And Bound for Glory was that same weekend, and there was some cool matches here. Um, and some just kind of whatever. But they had Kazarian defend the international championship match against Steve Macklin. This was an okay match. Wasn't really anything to write home about. And I just always feel this way about Kazarian matches. I don't know why. But I mean, it was a fine opener. But the problem is, like, again, I've said this in the last video. Kazarian just has never done anything for me in the years that I've watched him. And Steve Macklin is a fine talent, but like, guy needs to go heel. Just he needs to go full heel and basically go. He needs to be like some sort of aggressive, like Sergeant Slaughter, and like almost go over the top with it and just be a lot of fun. Um, or just go full Punisher. Like just he just needs to be the TNA version of the Punisher or something. I don't know, but he needs to do more than what he's doing now. Gia Miller and Tessa Blanchard. This match was whatever. Basically, Gia Miller is an announcer who has a wrestling background. She was teased by Tessa Blanchard, tortured, and bullied, and now wanted a match against her. And I didn't realize completely forgot Alicia Fox. Um, Currently is Victoria Crawford, but she is allied with Blanchard in TNA, which is crazy to think of. I mean, she looks old as shit on that program, by the way. And then I guess Jody Threat was with Gia Miller. But yeah, this wasn't much of a match, honestly. It really wasn't. And Tessa, got the win on her. Tessa Blanchard is still very hated in the by the audience. I don't know how most talents feel with her working shows or where she's at with the roster or with with her peers, but she does she does come out like $1,000,000. I will give her that. She does look like $1,000,000. And probably even more so when she gets her breasts enhanced, like I heard she was doing. So but all right, moving on. The Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. So basically, this is one of the TNA gimmicks where they have people come over. They people come out like to start, and then every minute someone comes in over the top battle royale, basically, and it's an intergender match where both male and females are partaking in the match, and it was mostly males, but there's a few females in here. Um, but yeah, overall, the match was fine. But it was really weird. It was they end up this match usually ends with like a double, like it usually when it comes down to the last two people, they have to wrestle each other like it's a regular wrestling match, which I kind of forgot until I watched this. And then basically it got down to Kazarian and Nick Nemeth. And yeah, Kazarian entered this match after losing his title to Macklin earlier in the show. And yeah, it was kind of weird. It was a little confusing. It was like they did a double pin spot. Basically, Morales proclaimed that they're both winners of the Call Your Shot. And a lot of the people in TNA weren't a big fan. Just it just was kind of weird. Um, and it's not like something that really got me excited either, because like I said, it's Kazarian. And fucking yeah, Nick Nemeth, who I like Nick Nemeth just as much as anyone else does, but like I don't know, I'm kind of over anything Dolph Ziggler has to do in his career at this point. So it just I just didn't care. I just thought I was kind of mesmerized at the idea that there were women and men in this match. Apparently, like they said this was it was a thing. Like they had done this before, like multiple years. Like like I said, I've been kind of not been following TNA for a bit, and then now I'm coming in back into the fold with TNA, and it's like, oh yeah, we normally just have men and women in the same match all the time. And yes, I do remember when Tessa Blanchard beat or Sammy Callahan for the world title. Was it Sammy Callahan? I can't remember who she beat. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. I do remember her being the world champion. Um, which was kind of weird. Like, I kind of like it. Kind of makes me respect the AEW saying that their world title is the men's world title now, because like to me, it's terrible booking to just do that. I'm just gonna say this right now. It's terrible booking to have any woman win your top male um title within the promotion. Two reasons. One, it makes all the women look bad. Like basically you literally bury every woman on the brand doing that just because outside the person who just won the male title, because you basically said no female is worth your time and effort to wrestle because you're wrestling for the male title. Secondly, you basically made every man and buried every man and every male on that roster, because now no male was qualified enough to contend for that title. They had to have a woman qualify and fight for that title. Now, we're not in exactly a world where there's no women's world title and men's world title. It's a complete like it's just an undisputed world title that anyone can get. We're not in that mindset. We're not in that world yet. We're not in that universe. So, and no company does that. At least not any prevalent ones. So, with that said, when you book a woman like that, or and vice versa, if you had a man do this for the women's division, vice versa, it works the same way. It would happen and work the same exact way with a man doing it in a women's division. You just can't book that and expect it to go well. Like, and I'm sure there's many other reasons besides what I mentioned, but those reasons are the most obvious reasons. Is that it does nothing to help your roster. And it completely invalidates everything that you're trying to do in the company with what you have to work with. Anywho, moving on. We're going down rabbit hole. TNA Knockouts Championship match: Indy Hartwell and Kalani Jordan. I'm gonna say this: Kalani Jordan did what she could to carry Indy Hartwell. You want my honest opinion about Indy Hartwell? I think Indy Hartwell sucks. And when she was let go from WWE, I was like, good riddance, because she's not very good. I never thought she was that good. Here she is in TNA, and I start watching it, and nothing's changed. She's still not very good. She is leaning off her name and her what she's done in WWE to have a career in TNA. She's not improved. She's not any better on the mic. She is like totally annoying to deal with. Now, did I personally enjoy the index stuff on NXT? Hell yeah, I did. But it was Dexter Lumis that got all that shit over, not her. Like, she sucked. Dexter Lumis, I found Dexter Lumis entertaining as hell. And I was a big fan of Dexter Lumis and still am. But yeah, Indy Hartwell, she is awful. Never thought she was worth a fuck. And yeah, more of the same here. Just Kalani Jordan can only do so much to carry this woman. And for what it was fine. And it still humors me that and it's just like Indy Hartwell, that her finisher is called Hurts Donut. Like it humors me, but like again, Kalani Jordan is a great in-ring worker. I still think that she needs to expand her character and know and kind of be able to show a little more of who she is, like her personality a little more on camera, but like her in ring, very good. And probably one of the best in NXT right now, between the male and females. Like all the way through the roster, like one of the best in NXT. And for her to be in the women's division, just doing what she's doing for TNA is awesome. I love what they're kind of doing right now in NXT, where they're basically like they've kicked her out of the NXT locker room because she's representing TNA as their Knockouts champion, and they basically feel that she's all about TNA instead of NXT now, and I kind of like where that's going and how that ends up, because like um it's just interesting, the dynamic between TNA and NXT and how long they've been doing that. Like you would think it would eventually end and they would move on and you would see less of the crossover, but we're still seeing it in full effect, and um it's getting eyes on TNA, and I think just getting the influx of TNA talent on NXT. I mean, I just watched last week's show, and I got to see Matt Cardona on fucking NXT, which was kind of cool. Yeah, sure. He put the NXT guy over, but fuck, it was Matt Cardona. And yeah, he put Josh Briggs over, but okay. Briggs has to beat somebody. All right. Well, so far, talk about Bound for Glory. It's not been that great of a show. Um, Hardcore War, Order 4 versus the System here. I thought this was kind of a fun match in general. There was a few things they did that kind of was like a little bit of a head scratcher, but like overall, um, you got to see the team dynamic between both teams really working together and trying to take each other out. They did a cool thumbtack spot. Fucking Ali doing a 450 splash on top of thumbtacks. Fucking goddamn, man. Um, I and they said this earned the biggest reaction of the night from the fans. I would agree, outside of maybe the Hardys and the Dudleys for the end of that match, but it was very good. I mean, very good for TNA, but it was just like it was the best thing that I've seen on the show so far. And I was like, thank God, something that was fun to watch, because the rest of the show hadn't been that much fun. X Division Championship match. Javon Evans and Leon Slater. This match was top notch, super enjoyable. Like, this was fun. These two, I want to see in the ring again. I want to see them tear it down, and I really want to have a good time with it. I want to see them in like a best of 5, best of 7 feud, whatever it takes. I want to see more of these two in the ring. It was just unfortunate that they the match ends in a double countout. Morella comes out and gives them 5 more minutes. Well, right as they start getting into the 5 more minutes, Dark Slate comes out and beats the shit out of them, and the match is thrown out. What's the point? And they say it here, and I completely agree. Don't book matches between guys you don't want to lose. It prevents negative reactions that can adversely affect the overall presentation. I mean, it like that's what could possibly happen. So like it just the like that's the thing. Like if you're not willing to have someone lose to the other in a high profile match like this, don't book it. Don't book it. You know, or you do something where it is, like I said, a best of 5, best of 7 series where they get plenty of matches in or plenty of wins in against each other, so that whoever wins the final match it doesn't really hurt the other person because they got their wins on the said opponent. So, um, yeah, this outside the dark state match, this was the match of the night by far, by far. Outside of the interference, again, really wish the interference didn't happen, but you know, it was the weirdest booking decision I've seen in some time. Not it didn't destroy. Luckily, it didn't like completely derail the show, but it wasn't a great decision. The Hardys and the Team 3D one last table. We got to see Spike Dudley. We got to see some call outs, some little Easter eggs, some nods to the past. I'm gonna say this: the match was not pretty. It wasn't. And this is after the fact knowledge. Devon hurt his shoulder early in the match. Jeff Hardy kind of short jumped his swanton off the top of the ladder, and he ended up hitting his head on the bottom rung of the ladder that he jumped off of and cut his head. Overall, it was still fun. Like, it was fun. Like, this was pure TNA, pure Hardy and Dudley nostalgia, pure. This was one of those moments that I was happy to see, and it's tearing me up now. Like, seeing the Dudleys take off their boots and handing the boots. Normally, you know, because obviously it's a show of retirement. They leave the boots in the ring and they move on. They didn't do that. They took off their boots, handed the boots to the Hardys. The Dudleys handed the boots to the Hardys, and I was, yeah, that was a moment. Like, we're never gonna see the Dudley boys wrestle again. They're done. It just it was a moment. It was, you know, this match was one of the reasons I wanted to watch the show, and you know, despite how most of the show went, I'm glad I got to see that. Because these are two very influential tag teams that I grew up watching, and well, somewhat grew up watching. I had to go back and watch stuff once I got back into it in like 2002. But you know, again, very influential still, even after that. So like, yeah, this was a great time. This was thank you Dudley boys for the good memories. And then TNA World Championship match, Mike Santana, Trick Williams. This was a fine match. This match shows how much star power Trick Williams has. He's the heel. Santana's got everyone behind him, but people are still chanting "Whoop that Trick" for Trick Williams. Like, the man's a legit star. He could go on the main roster right now and be one of their world champions, bar none, and be entertaining as hell. The guy has it all. Has the package. He knows how to turn it up to past 10 and definitely gets everyone invested. He's a smooth talker, good storyteller. He's not bad in the ring. He needs to be called up to the main roster. I love that he I love kind of the video package for some of the stuff leading up to Santana that I saw prior to this. I'm happy to see Santana finally win the title and represent the company. The man's busted his ass to have this opportunity, and yeah, pretty cool to see Santana have Trick basically go over, or to have Santana go over Trick like that, and basically Trick Trick giving him his moment. Basically, it was pretty badass. Um, but yeah, overall, like, could the show have been way better? Yes, but this was what I expected from a TNA show overall, but like it was definitely a fun watch towards the end of it. Um yeah, I'm very interested to see where TNA goes from here. I know the Hardys are about to take on Dark State at Halloween Havoc they're doing a Broken Hardys match. So they're basically releasing their broken halves of themselves to take on Dark State, which is kind of cool. Um, I haven't watched TNA recently since this to kind of see what else is going on, but I am hoping that they're doing some cool shit. Not sure who the next contender is now, but yeah, hopefully I'll catch up on that, and we'll be seeing um more fallout from that. Definitely invested with overall with NXT and their collaboration with TNA. Like, I really hope that doesn't end anytime soon. I've been loving it, and it's I think it's been really working out for both companies. I really do hope they continue to find ways to be creative to keep keep it fresh while not doing absurd angles that make little to no sense. You know. Um. So that was Bound for Glory. This past weekend was AEW Wrestledream, which I watched. Um. So, we start the fucking pay per view, and the literally the pay per view starts in the middle of the FTR and jet speed match that was that had started in the pre show, and they basically go on. And it's not like, hey, this match is about over, and we're gonna start the basically start our card. This match went another 10-15 minutes. Yeah, another 10-15 minutes, and then it like it was and it finally ended, but it was still like, while it was the weirdest way to open a show, it was exciting. It was kind of a cool opening. Like, hey, I know you just joined, but oh my god, like they were kind of going at it. It was a good back and forth, but yeah, yeah, FTR defeated Jet Speed, um, for what for where because from where I started watching, because I didn't watch the pre-show. Like I said, it was just kind of a weird booking decision to bleed into the pay-per-view, but I don't know why they did that. But could this match been on the actual show? Probably. But did they I wonder if they just didn't really have anything super interesting that was tying these two teams together, and it was just more of an exhibition match. Um, we had Jamie Hayter versus Thekla. I think this was an okay match. Solid match to open the show with, basically. But I'm still not sure if Jamie Hayter's really found who she is or what she is since she's been back. Because like she came back, she got injured again, like real quickly, and then she's back again. And I don't think she's really found her footing, as in really establishing herself as a certain identity. Like she's kind of got this like Scooby Doo like 70s look going for her right now. It's kind of hot, but it's like I'm not sure if she's trying to be a hippie or if she's just wearing the gear or she's just living in that era. I don't know. But yeah, I guess she's had her problems with Thekla, and Thekla's the one that got her hurt. And this was more or less a return, like revenge match for that. But yeah, Thekla looks like she could be a like a standard player in the women's division in the future. Um, got an interesting look to her. It's got an attitude. Thought it was kind of weird what they were trying to like put over as how rebellious she was on the commentary, but um for I feel like if all the shit they said on commentary was true about her and that was like her identity, I feel Tony Khan wouldn't hire her. At least that's how I feel. Um then we had Jurassic Express against Young Bucks. Overall, this was a good match. Maybe a little long, but it was very enjoyable. Um, Basically, the Young Bucks have been shit poor since they lost their EVP jobs, and they've been made fun of left and right. They've had all sorts of goofy entrances or lack of good gear, or really, they've really played into this, and it's been a lot of fun for what I've seen. And they basically got a match signed up just so they could win money. So there was a prize of $500,000 for them to, if they won, they got the money. Um, and this match was very back and forth, very enjoyable. And Jungle Boy Jack Perry won his rematch, more or less get his hands on the Young Bucks since they basically left him high and dry in AEW when they were a faction, when they were the Elite together with Okada. And yeah, it just it was a good fun match. I really had a good time with it, and like I said, I love seeing Jack Perry as Jungle Boy again. Well, Jungle Jack Perry. That's what he goes by now. He doesn't call himself Jungle Boy. He's grown up now, guys. He's a full grown adult. Um, but it was a match I would definitely say was probably one of the better matches of the night for sure. Um, got some aftermatch action with the Don Callis family beating down Jungle Jurassic Express. Kenny Omega coming out also to try to help them out and trying to convince the Young Bucks to help out against the Don Callis family, and the Young Bucks just like said, "Fuck that." Still continuing their selfish ways and whatnot. But yeah, Young Bucks. Um, I was gonna say, yeah, they're still trying to deal with their issues. Um, More on the Don Callis family here in a bit. We got the Tornado Trios match. We had the Hurt Syndicate having their rematch against the Demand. This was nowhere near as good as the match they had last month. Um, basically it just um it was just a match. It just nothing about this match really stood out. Where in the last match, it felt like everyone kind of got um kind of got the spotlight, and that really like they were able to really emphasize certain parts of the story between the two factions in the last match last month. This time around, with it being a tornado trios match, it was supposed to be more of a crazy brawl, but it just it's like they all ran out there, went through the motion, and then went into the back. You know what I mean? Like it was fine, but it was just kind of like I didn't see what I expected to see from last month into this month. Um, I guess this was supposed to be the blow off of the rivalry, but like it just felt like the demand went out there and just demanded to get their asses beat. Like, um, it just I don't know. It never found its like next gear, in my opinion. It just men went out there, did stuff, and went and the match was over. So we had the TNA or TNT Championship match. Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher. Oh man, I don't know how you feel about Kyle Fletcher, but man, he is going to be the future of AEW. Hands down, he will be the future. Um, this match was pretty good, but I just Mark Briscoe did a great job putting Kyle Fletcher over and making him feel like another top tier star. And that's Mark Briscoe's good for that at this point of his career now. Is putting guys over and making them look like $100. And this is exactly the formula you want to do in order to do that. Kyle Fletcher had a great outing with Hangman last pay per view, and really Hangman really elevated Kyle Fletcher's stock. I think Mark Briscoe did a great job keeping that stock just as flush, if not bigger. Um, I don't know where they go from here. I don't know what Briscoe does. Sure, I'm sure Tony Khan will give Mark Briscoe someone else to put over. And then Kyle Fletcher, what does he do? Honestly, I see Kyle Fletcher challenging Hangman down the road again once Hangman survives Samoa Joe, which I will get past that, or I will talk about that in a bit. But I see Kyle Fletcher getting back into the world title picture and winning the world title. Yeah, I'm calling it right now. Kyle Fletcher's the next AEW champion. All right. So a little bit of a women's mix here. The AEW Women's World Championship, Timeless Tony Storm, Chris Statlander. Timeless Tony Storm lost the title last month at the pay per view in the 4-way. Chris Statlander won the 4-way, but she never pinned Tony Storm. Or did she? I can't remember. Did she pin Tony Storm? I gotta look this up. 4-way. Oh yeah, she did pin. Yeah, she did. I forgot. She pinned her with the seatbelt. That makes sense. So, yeah, basically Tony Storm is kind of dejected. Yeah, sorry. For some reason, I thought that she didn't, because normally when you see these setups from a former champ after a 4-way, usually the former champ never got pinned. Here, yeah, the former champ did get pinned, and she was the next contender. She ends up being the number one contender. Maybe, I don't know. I think it was a rematch clause she enacted. I don't know. But either way, she goes against Statlander. And this was a perfectly serviceable match. This was fine. Lots of Statlander, showing off how big and badass she is, and Tony Storm being Tony Storm. Like I said, it's entertaining seeing both these women do what they do. Um, Statlander got the win again on Tony Storm. Pretty fun. Like I said, but no sooner than Statlander celebrating her victory over Tony Storm, which Tony Storm looks even more dejected. More on that in a moment. In comes Mercedes Moné with her 10 million belts, and coming in the middle of Statlander's celebration, telling her to get the F out of the ring, basically. And Moné basically has an open challenge to whoever wants to put their title on the line. Who puts their title on the line? Mina Shirakawa from basically who's been working AEW recently and also has the Ring of Honor Interim Women's TV Championship. She puts that title on the line, go against Mercedes Moné to try to win the TBS title. This was a fine match. It got a little sloppy, which sometimes the Mercedes Moné matches get a little sloppy towards the end. I don't know why. Maybe because her finisher sucks. But either way, Mercedes Moné looks like $1 million, and considering that's probably how much he's paying her, I joke, but he's paying her an awful lot. She's got to have that look. She's got to have that presentation, and Statlander basically came in and got the receipt of her interruption earlier. So I see maybe they're teasing towards like Moné versus Statlander for the world title, which I hate because she's got the TBS title. She's had the TBS title. She's already tried for the world title and Tony Storm beat her. So like I'm hoping that it's another one of those things where yes, I'm going to try to get the world title, but Statlander beats her and keeps her away from that title. Because that's the thing. She can brag and celebrate how many titles she has, but maybe they build the story that she can never win that title. Like for whatever reason, she can have, and she'll just keep collecting them. I got so many titles, but that's the one I want. It's like a woman buying all sorts of shoes, for a shoe collection, but the one pair she really wants eludes her because they're never available. So she'll go buy a different pair of shoes to ease her mind for a moment or two, and then be sad because it's not what she actually wanted. That sort of thing. Maybe that's where they go with that, and that's interesting. We'll see. In my opinion, this was match of the night. The World Tag Team Title match: Brodito versus Takeshita and Okada. This was, like I said, this was very good. I will agree with the Bleacher Report. It was a bit long. And I don't know why some of these matches are as long as they are. I really don't. They could have given the Moxley match later in the night more time and took time away from this and still did what they need to do for this match. But I digress. Very enjoyable match. It's the interactions between Okada and Takeshita are gold right now. I want to see these two finally blow up and go after each other. Because you could just see it, the jealousy, the bullying, Takesha's the New Japan IW, is it IGWP or IWGP? I forget. He's got their heavyweight world title, and he's their heavyweight champion. And it's funny to see Okada just still make him feel second rate or act like he's second rate, even though Takeshita is basically trying to prove, or I shouldn't say trying to prove, he's proving that he is the man. And that Okada needs to respect him. But Okada's not going to do that because Okada don't respect anyone. Except Don Callis. Anyways, no, this match had a lot of fun spots in it, especially Okada eventually giving a Rainmaker to Takeshita, which cost him the match. But yeah, this was a very enjoyable match. This is what, if I had to point on a match in this card and be like, this is what AEW is all about, this would be this match. So yeah, Bro Dito's been quite an enjoyable tag team, by the way. Who knew Brody King and Bandito would work so well? I'm not sure what they're gonna do with Buddy Matthews when he comes back, but chances are Bandito's probably gonna hurt himself real bad before like we have to worry about that. So who knows? Anywho, the next match is the world title, Hangman against Samoa Joe. This was a completely serviceable Samoa Joe physical match. The thing is, I could tell that they were trying to hold back some. Obviously, when you don't see everyone going all out and doing crazy shit, and they're trying to like keep the pace moderate, it means that there's gonna be more in the gas tank, and the feud's gonna probably extend past this, which I was fine with. But like I said, it ended with 3 buckshot lariats to Samoa Joe to finally keep him down and win. I was fine with that. It was very enjoyable, and I thought we were gonna have a fun, respectful conclusion to the match. Samoa Joe, raising the hands of Hangman and Page, a little sportsmanship, and they turn the ops heel, which I'm kind of glad they did. I mentioned before in one of my other videos was that one of the problems that AEW has been having is that they're running out of heels for Hangman to fight. And yeah, they are filling that void with Samoa Joe going heel. So him and Joe will fight again. They will have another match. But it's just now that Joe's going to be heel, they're going to be able to do things, a lot more creative things in matches in the future that I know that they couldn't or wouldn't do in this match that we watched. But it was still fun. It was still enjoyable. It's always fun to see Samoa Joe in the ring, because we all know, as if you're a Samoa Joe fan, you ain't gonna be able to watch him wrestle that much longer. We all know this. Everyone in that era that we enjoyed, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, The Amazing Red, Kazarian, a lot of all these guys in the younger TNA era, the early Ring of Honor era, like Bryan Danielson, Homicide, Nigel McGuinness, all these guys that we really enjoyed in the indie scene in this era. They're all old. They're all retiring. They're all getting out of the business within the next few years. AJ Styles. Like, we're losing all these guys. They're not going to wrestle forever. They're done. And it sucks. Because, these are wrestlers I really enjoyed watching. Growing up and just, as I was getting out of college, or as I was in college and getting out of college, these were the guys I would watch a lot of and enjoy, and go to wrestling shows to watch these guys. Like, it's like, fuck WWE. I'm gonna watch these guys. These guys are more entertaining and more enjoyable. They all get my money. Yeah, we're all getting old here, and I'm realizing that. So like, it's it just kind of sucks that and yeah, Hangman comes from a different generation of wrestlers, and he'll be around for a bit. But it just sucks to see that some of our, you know, some of the wrestlers that I really enjoyed are not gonna be around much longer, and I gotta enjoy them as much as possible while they're around. Um, but yeah, hopefully we'll see some more of them here in the future. We got Darby Allin against Jon Moxley for the I Quit match. Now, here's my thing about this. Um, there's several things about this match I want to say. One, you can't deliver it because the idea is Darby's gonna die before he quits. You've already tried to suffocate this man in plastic bags and to other people. He's already tried to burn you alive. And when I say you, I mean Jon Moxley. Um, it's crazy how much pain and punishment both these guys are willing to go through to put on a match. What's even more humorous is that they are at they're doing a show in a state that forbids bleeding on stage and excessive amounts of violence. So like, and not only excessive amounts of violence, I mean violence that's like uncontained, like when like battling into the stands and going all over the stadium. You're not allowed to do that in St. Louis, or in Missouri, I should say. You're not allowed to do that in Missouri. You're not allowed to bleed in Missouri. So like, if there's bleeding, it's got to be very minimal, and if it's accidental, you gotta like fix that shit. Well, they did what they could to make sure there was none of that shit was an issue. And I wondered why it was like it was so contained, and why they seemed to do and went to certain gimmicks as opposed to other gimmicks that I would have fully expected them to embrace in a match like this. And I was like, oh, I found out after the fact about the state law or the state health commission and the regulations they have for Missouri. So that's why we didn't see them bleed a whole lot, because Moxley usually bleeds. I think this is the first Moxley match I've watched that he didn't bleed. Is it not? I don't even remember him bleeding at all. But yeah, this match was all over the place. Like, yeah, and Moxley trying to stick skewers underneath the fingernails of Darby Allin, which was fucking hard to watch. You had Moxley throwing him in the tables. You had Moxley. I mean, he at least with Moxley tried to choke him with a flag and strung him up over the top rope. There was all sorts of crazy shit happening in this match, but the craziest shit yet was them bringing out the fish tank, the aquarium, filling it up with water, and they start doing the drowning. They start trying to drown Darby and making him quit. Here's the thing about this. He's not quitting. Okay, are you gonna make him keep doing like when you make someone drown or you try to make someone drown, they're having to hold their breath. Okay? Yeah, it's torture to hold your breath and not breathe. But here's the thing. Eventually, you will die if you don't breathe. So therefore, the torture ends when you die. You get someone gasping for air, after the fact. They're no longer being tortured. They're gasping for air. They're chilling. It's not a very effective way of torture, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure they would have loved to do something a little more gory or a little more on the nose and more gory. I'm trying to find a better word instead of gory, but like visual, just something a lot more visual. And but they couldn't because of where they were hosting the show at. So they had to resort to this, and it just like the man's not gonna give up. It's like he's not gonna give up. Darby Allin's not gonna give up. He's gonna let you drown him in that aquarium before he gives up. So it's like at least with the skewers, you could tell he was really in pain and he was not feeling great. And he can exhibit that and show that. But with the aquarium, it's like all you're doing is making him hold his breath for a while. You're not doing anything else. You're not like water. Like if they were waterboarding him, that'd be one thing, but they weren't. They're just simply diving his head into the tank, which is like, okay, well, you gotta let him up some point, or else you're killing him. And then he just breathes. Okay, you're not really getting him to feel like he needs to tell you that he's done. He's gonna make you just keep doing that, and you're not gonna kill him. So where's the payoff? So I thought the fish tank kind of sucked. And then like lights go out, Sting shows up, and oh my god, Sting looks really badass with the slick white and the white beard with the black running down, and the white face paint. Looked really badass. Where did I see it? I saw a meme saying it was Gandalf Sting, and it was awesome. He looks so badass. He beats up the Death Riders and breaks the aquarium, like smashes it constantly. Um, so Darby gets some offense in after he gets the bat from Sting and hits Moxley a few times with the bat, gets him in the Scorpion Deathlock, and Moxley instantly gives up. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's rushed. And like Darby grabs the AEW flag, goes on the turnbuckle, and basically the show ends. Like it just literally stops right there. The show ends. And apparently they ran out of time. From what I've read and heard is that they ran out of time and they needed to like get to the finish. And I'm like in my head, like, well, if I knew we had to quickly get to the finish and I was going to use the deadlock to finish, like I would have like just taken the bat, knocked Moxley down, and then just smashed his leg up with the bat like 5-6 times, and then strapped the goddamn fucking deathlock on him. It would have made more sense. Instead, he only hit him with the bat like 2-3 times, or various parts of the body. He knocks him down and gets him in the deathlock. Like, to me, watching the match at that angle and the way they presented it, I just didn't understand why he was quitting. Other than he had to quit because Darby had to go over. Like, so just, I don't know. The match was fine. Had some fine moments and some cringe moments, like you're supposed to in a Moxley Darby match, but yeah, there was like, as they said on here, there was whipping from a leather belt, lighter fluid being sprayed on people, like an actual taser being used in the match. Darby Allin took pretty much 90% of the punishment in this match. Like it just really wasn't like it. Like I said, it was a fine match for what it was, but until the very end, because obviously that was rushed. But overall, it was an okay show. I really am curious with Joe's heel turn and what they do with him and Paige going forward. I really want to see more of what happens between Takeshita and Okada. I want to see if it splits the Don Callis family in half, or if they just basically kicked Takeshita out. Blood and Guts is coming up, and I might do a video based on Blood and Guts. That's going to be on Dynamite here in a few weeks, so very curious as to who is in that match, and I think they're going to have two of them, a women's and a men's, from what I'm hearing now. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they plan on doing with that show in its entirety. But yeah, overall wasn't the worst couple weeks of wrestling. Like I said, AEW's usually puts on some pretty good banger of pay-per-views. I would say this pay-per-view was probably one of their weakest of the year, in my opinion, of all the AEW I've watched all year. This was probably one of their weakest shows of the year. Like the last month's show was one of the better ones I've seen all year, or just in general. This one was probably pretty close to the bottom rung for me. I mean, it's still halfway better than like most pay-per-views WWE does, or TNA for that matter, but that's not saying much. Either way, they could have done more with this, and there was just some things that could have been tweaked, or maybe they should have thought of before they did certain other things. But at the end of the day, hopefully we get some enjoyable wrestling, and I get to see some aftermath of what's going to go down here later tonight, and yeah, looking forward to some blood and guts. I think that's enough rambling for me, going on about 3 shows within the last 2 weeks. Upcoming will be NXT Halloween Havoc this weekend. And we'll discuss like the next video we'll discuss that show and some fallout from that, and the fallout from other Raw, like kind of keep up with what's going on in WWE. I'll be caught up with TNA. I'll keep an eye on AEW, and we'll kind of have some discussions on just where the state of wrestling's at in general. So but yeah, thanks guys for tuning in, checking this out, and hopefully I'll catch you later.